Hello, this is Mrs. Fay, and today we're going to talk about how to start to enter beginning values in your entrepreneurship SAE project. The first thing you will need to do is set up an entrepreneurship project in the Experience Manager. If you're not sure how to do that, that was covered in previous videos. So what we have done is I have chosen the Finances tab right here, and then I'm going to choose Beginning Values, which is next to the blue box in the Finances tab. So when we go to Beginning Values, we can see that our first day in agriculture education class is August 20th, 2016. This date is determined because that's when our first day of ag class was, that we entered in My Ag Classes back in the Profile tab. If you don't have a date that appears here, you need to go to the Profile tab and choose My Agricultural Classes and set those up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Current Projects. We're going to choose the Current Project tab, and in my project, rabbit breeding, I had some, as of the first day in my ag class, I had some shavings. So I'm going to record them in the Beginning Values tab. So what I did is I entered my vendor, which is Joe's Feed Mill, and I chose the project, which is rabbit breeding. And for me, shavings is going to be in the expense type of supplies. And you can see there are a whole list of items there, of categories there that you can choose. So I bought 2 bags of shavings, and a random value for me is $10 for those 2 bags of shavings. So when I entered those 2 bags of shavings, I chose Save and Add a New Line. If you have several items that you want to enter at this point, you can stop the video and enter those items, and make sure every time you enter an item, you choose Save and Add a New Line. So after we have our beginning values set for our current items, and remember, current items are those items that are going to be used up generally within 1 year. There are items that you're not going to have for a long period of time. It might be items such as soap, if you bathe your animal, if you have an animal project. It could be seeds, if you have a garden project. It could be seeds that you have left over from last year. It could be fertilizer. It could be, again, just any item that you might have that was left over from last year, or that you have bought prior to your first day in ag. So the next item that we're going to enter are non-current items. So we're going to choose the non-current tab. And non-current items are items that you are going to own for more than 1 year. You can see some non-current items that I have, since it's a rabbit breeding project. I have a white rabbit that is a doe, and she has an ear tattoo of number 1. So I entered number 1 because of her ear tattoo. A little bit of a description so that I know down the road what number 1 was in case I have other breeding projects. I know that number 1 is a white rabbit, and it happens to be a doe. This item is a depreciable item, and it's breeding livestock, so I chose depreciable, draft, pleasure, or breeding livestock. The useful life of this rabbit for me is going to be 5 years. I paid, or her value right now is $15, and her salvage value, or her value to me at the end of the 5 years, is probably going to be $2. I have a second rabbit. It's a black rabbit, and it's a doe. So the tattoo in this rabbit's ear is number 2. It's a depreciable item. I'm going to have this rabbit for 5 years. And again, its value is $15, and the salvage value at the end is going to be $2. I also own some rabbit supplies, and I'm going to change that because actually supplies should be in my current project tab. So I'm going to enter a cage that I own, And this cage is 24 inches by 30 inches. Now I own several cages, so this is just one of the cages that I own, and I'm going to put that little description there, 24 by 30. And it's machinery, equipment, and fixtures, because it's obviously not a breeding animal. Its use to me is going to be 5 years. Currently, it's valued at $20. And at the end, it's going to be valued at $5. So after I enter that item, I'm going to click Save and add a new line. Now there's another rabbit that I own. I also own a buck, and this buck is number 20, and it is a Californian buck. It's a Californian, and I'm going to put the word buck there so that as I'm getting further along in my records, I know that it was the Californian buck and it's number 20. It's not machinery and equipment. It's a depreciable item because I purchased him. His value to me is going to be 5 years, and I paid a little bit more for him. His value right now is $30, and his salvage value at the end of my project is going to be $5. So we're going to choose Save and add a new line, and a new line will pop up there, and we don't need to worry about that new line. You can just ignore that. Something else that I own for this rabbit is going to be feed equipment. So I own a bunch of feeders, and I own some water bottles and so forth. So those are going to be considered fixtures. I'll have those for 5 years as well. Their value right now is going to be $30. And then their salvage value at the end will probably be $5. And then I'm going to save and add another new line. And I'll just ignore that line. Okay, generally, FFA members coming into an ag program don't have any liabilities or loans, but we can choose that tab just so that you can see some options for liabilities or loans that you might have coming into ag. Remember, any items that you enter as non-current or current or loans are only items that are directly related to your SAE project. So if down the road, if you purchase a vehicle or you have a four-wheeler or something that you use just for yourself as a personal item and it is not related to your SAE project, those items do not go into the SAE inventory or into any of the expenses and so forth. So the next tab we have is cash or checking, and what this wants to know is how much money you have coming into the project that you could use to buy feed or buy supplies for your project ahead of time. So I'm going to enter $100 here because that's the amount of money that I have coming into the project or starting the project as startup funds that I can use to pay for feed and so on until my project is profitable. So again, that is how you enter beginning values in an SAE project. As always, if you have any questions, you can talk to your agriculture teacher or you can contact the SAE specialist. Have an awesome day.